The night the moon bled red, a prophecy was set in motion. In the ancient land of Gandhara, whispers spread of a child destined to reshape the world, a figure of both salvation and destruction. Feared by rulers, hunted by shadows, and worshipped by believers, this child's fate was anything but ordinary. But was the prophecy a blessing or a curse? In the heart of Gandhara, a kingdom older than time itself, an ancient prophecy had long haunted its rulers. It was said that this child would wield powers beyond human comprehension, the ability to control the elements, foresee the future, and communicate with the spirits of the past. But with such power came a dire warning. This child shall either build the greatest empire known to man or reduce it to ashes. For generations, the prophecy was dismissed as mere legend, a tale to frighten the ambitious or give hope to the desperate. But as the night of the red moon approached, unease spread across the kingdom. The skies darkened, the air grew heavy, and the winds carried whispers of change and chaos. And then, on the fated night, it happened. A child was born, and with their arrival the world itself seemed to pause, holding its breath. The moment their first cry echoed, the rivers ran colder, the trees trembled, and the red moon burned brighter than ever before. The prophecy had begun. It was in the hidden village of Orith, deep within the Ashen Mountains, that the prophecy took its first breath. The birth of the child was unlike any other. The very moment they entered the world, nature itself seemed to respond. The red moon glowed with unnatural intensity, and for a fleeting moment, the river outside the village reversed its flow. Mira, the midwife who delivered the child, knew immediately that this was no ordinary infant. Their eyes, glowing with an eerie golden hue, held an unsettling wisdom, as if they were already aware of the world's secrets. Unlike other newborns who wail upon birth, this child was silent, staring up at the sky as if listening to voices only they could hear. The villagers gathered outside, whispering in awe and fear. Some fell to their knees, convinced they were witnessing the birth of a divine being. Others backed away in terror, fearing what this child could become. By dawn, the news had traveled beyond the village. Messengers and traders carried the tale across Gandhara, and when it reached the royal palace, it did not bring wonder, it brought fear. The hunt for the child had begun. King Aldrich, ruler of Gandhara, was not a man given to superstition. He ruled through calculated strategy and unwavering control. But when news reached him of the child born under the red moon, his advisors whispered warnings, urging him to take action before it was too late. Aldrich understood the weight of such a prophecy. If the people believed this child was destined to change the world, they would turn against him. The prophecy did not promise obedience. It promised power, a force he could neither control nor predict. And so, he made a decision. Find the child, kill them before they fulfill their destiny. He dispatched his elite hunters, men trained in tracking and eliminating threats to the throne. Entire villages were questioned, homes were searched, and whispers turned to silence. The people of Gandhara lived in fear, not of the child, but of their own king. Meanwhile, Mira, the midwife who had delivered the child, fled under the cover of darkness. With the help of a rebel faction known as the Veilborn, she carried the infant across treacherous lands, seeking refuge beyond the king's reach. But Aldrich's forces were relentless. The hunt was only beginning. As the child grew, strange and unexplainable phenomena followed them like a shadow. Even before they could walk, the world around them seemed to respond to their mere presence. At the age of 2, they reached out toward a raging wildfire, and the flames recoiled as if obeying an unseen force. By 4, they spoke of voices from the past, recounting stories of warriors and rulers long forgotten, knowledge no mortal could have possibly known. But their most terrifying display of power came at 7. During an unforgiving storm, when lightning tore through the sky and winds threatened to tear a village apart, the child raised a single hand and the storm abruptly ceased. The villagers, both in awe and fear, knew then that the prophecy was true. The rebels protecting them were torn. Was this child truly the kingdom's salvation or its downfall? Some feared that if their powers continued to grow unchecked, they would become unstoppable, a force too great to control. And yet they also knew that hiding the child forever was impossible. The world was already watching. The king's spies were near, and the hunt had not ceased. They had to prepare for what was coming. While the child's power continued to grow in secret, King Aldrich's rule began to crumble under the weight of his paranoia. His obsession with finding and eliminating the child had driven him to spend vast sums of gold, draining the kingdom's resources. He increased taxes, sent spies into every province, and treated even his most loyal advisors with suspicion. The people of Gandhara had once feared the prophecy, but now they feared their own ruler. The rebels were no longer just a hidden faction. They had become a movement. Villages that once cowered in silence began whispering of a ruler who had lost his mind. Some even dared to believe that the child of the Red Moon was not a curse, but a savior. Desperate and growing more erratic, Aldrich made a dangerous choice. If he could not find and kill the child, he would destroy everything that could shelter them. He ordered his forces to burn rebel strongholds, wipe out entire villages suspected of aiding them, and execute anyone caught spreading rumors of the prophecy. But with each act of cruelty, the people turned further against him. The prophecy was no longer just words. It had become a revolution. The kingdom was on the verge of breaking, and Aldrich knew it. The inevitable battle came at the peak of the Ashen Mountains, where the skies seemed to touch the earth. The rebels, led by Maitreya and the now 12-year-old child, prepared for their final stand against Aldrich's army. The king had poured every last ounce of his might into this confrontation. His soldiers numbered in the thousands, while the rebels stood as a mere fraction of that force. But the child of the Red Moon was no ordinary warrior. As the battle raged on, their presence alone seemed to shift the tides of war. Swords missed their mark, arrows froze midair, and the very ground trembled beneath Aldrich's feet. Then in the heart of the battlefield, the child stepped forward, their golden eyes burning brighter than ever before. They raised a hand, and a force unlike anything the world had seen erupted. A power that shattered shields, silenced the clash of steel, and brought every soldier to their knees. Aldrich, once the mighty ruler of Gandhara, was now nothing more than a trembling man, before a force he could never hope to understand. And in that moment, the child spoke. "You feared me before I had even spoken a word. You hunted me before I had even chosen a path." The fate of the kingdom hung in the balance. Would the prophecy end in destruction, or something else? For years, the world had feared that the child of the Red Moon would burn Gandhara to the ground, that their power would bring the kingdom to ruin. But as Aldrich knelt before them, his eyes wide with terror and realization, the child did something no one expected. They extended their hand, not in vengeance, but in mercy. Aldrich, once a man consumed by paranoia, now saw the truth he had ignored for so long. It was not the child's power that threatened the kingdom. It was his own fear. His relentless cruelty, his desperation to control fate, had been the kingdom's true downfall. As he bowed his head in surrender, the war came to an end. The kingdom did not fall to fire and destruction, it was reborn. The child, a figure of legend now etched into history, did not stay to rule. Their purpose was not power, nor vengeance, nor control. With a final look at the kingdom they had saved, they disappeared into the shadows, their fate unknown. But the people of Gandhara never forgot. And to this day, it is said that when the Red Moon rises once more, the child's presence will return, watching over the kingdom they once saved. The prophecy had been fulfilled, not through war, but through forgiveness. Do you believe in prophecies? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more untold legends.